We're going to be led in our invocation by Councilmember Richard Cook and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Sandra Crawford. And for those of you that want to participate, you may now stand.
Right. God, we thank you for this opportunity we have to come together and work with the business of Lake City. Pray now that you'll open our hearts, open our minds, and that we do the right thing for the citizens of Lake City. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May you see. Madam Clerk, please call the council members.
Councilmember Richard Cook. Councilmember Nicole Singletary. Present. Councilmember Sandra Fleming Crosby. Present. Mayor Pro Tem Billy Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Wilhelmina Scott. Here. Councilmember Peggy Sepnick. Here. Mayor Anderson, I find there to be a quorum present.
Thank you. At this point, we're ready to have a motion to adopt the agenda with two minor grammatical changes on it. On item 2, where it says approval of minutes, that should be January 14, 2020. And in item 4, under presentation, on the last line, it should be Valentine's Day event featuring Ms. Tasha Mack McCutcheon. Ready for a motion.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Thank you. Next item is our public comment period. Approval of our minutes. For Tuesday, January 14, 2020, regular city council meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? None, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item is our public comment period. Notes on the comment period. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per person, and no personal or verbal attacks will be entertained. The council is interested in hearing your concerns, but speakers should not expect council action or deliberation on subject matter brought up during the public comment period. Topics requiring further investigation will be referred to the city administration and may be scheduled for a future agenda. Please state your name and address for the record as you come forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. Margaret Jones, 713 Ronald Boulevard, Lake City. I don't know if y'all had a concern. I had a family member that passed. And when she passed, I think, well, we hold certain position in the city or whatever, we should act accordingly. And I had a person that held a position that came to my family member's house after she passed, and they were having a repast at the house. So this person came to the house where my cousin died. And asked all the people to leave. All the people. And that was completely embarrassing to my family. And also it was shocking to me to see one of our council members behave in that manner. And I think we hold certain positions. We should be held accountable and know how to act in the public. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Alfani Kennedy. My address is 7705 Springfield Road, Effingham, South Carolina. I'm the coordinator at the Lake City Senior Center, and I'm here to make a short report and announcement to the council. First of all, thank you all for your support through all of this process of accreditation, and it has come to an end. But back in 2013, this process started, and I was like, I need to get busy doing the accreditation. And I'm saying, what is that? So I was given this thick binder and said, here it is, go with it. So with a lot of help from the Cynthia and other civic leaders, we were able to do that. So on November 4th, Pat Brunson from Kodak, Alaska, she's a national reviewer from the National Council on Aging, came to review us, and she arrived in a little town called Lake City. Good to know, our building was outstanding. She'd never seen such a fine building for a small population like ours. Our members were very welcoming and warm, and she was really amazed. She had meetings with a lot of our leaders at a luncheon, and you impressed her very much. The end of this thing is that on November 5th, after she had reviewed us, my credentials and all that stuff, and all the notes that we've been doing, and all the events that we've been doing, there's two type of accreditations that you can receive on a national level. That's 3-year and 5 years. She said, from reviewing us, my credentials, and all the stuff that we've done, she was going to recommend to the National Board a 5-year accreditation.
Thank you.
That was a recommendation. On November 21st, our executive director, Linda Mitchell-Johnson, received a call from the National Council on Aging in Washington that we had received a 5-year accreditation. That's the best you can get.
All right.
Pat informed us there are 15,000 senior centers in the United States. Out of that 15,000, there are 200 that are accredited. We are 201.
Wow.
There are 2 centers in South Carolina that are accredited. That's Charleston and Lake City. Give yourselves a hand.
Thank you.
One other thing, there will be a reception of this accreditation on Saturday, April 25th at 4 p.m. at the Senior Center. You all will be getting invitations. But thank you again for all your help. It could not have happened without you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Sunday. Oh, hi.
It's Sunday. Okay. Good evening. My name is Emma Martin. My address is 355 Moore Street, here in the city. And I just want to talk about the problems we're having here as it concerns young people. I was at a workshop today, and I received some stats in our city concerning incarceration. Since 2002, 1 in 17 white males are incarcerated. 1 in 6 Hispanic males are incarcerated, and 1 in 3 black males are incarcerated. But I also learned that these men that are incarcerated, for the most part, over 50% have mental health issues. And when it comes to the juvenile offenders, 74% have been found to have mental health issues. Now, when I said I'm talking about what's going on in the city, I'm talking about the young men that are committing crimes because they have mental health issues that we don't address. We don't address them in the schools. We don't address them in the churches. But they are doing what they do because most of them suffer from PTSD because of what goes on in their homes. And it's time for us as a city to stand up for these young people and to bring in things that will help them. I know that there's one program that's going on now that's called Strengthening Families. We've got to utilize everything we have until we can find something else to do. And the Strengthening Families program is being held at Wesley Chapel United Methodist Church. And it's for the qualifying criteria is that you have a 6-year-old in the home or a child approaching 6-year-old. But you can bring kids in no matter what age they are, as long as you have a qualifying child. And they work with teenagers, they work with the middle school, and they work with the elementary school children to help parents learn how to communicate with their children and fellowship with their children so that the children will know that they mean something in this community, that they count. I was at Epworth Children's Home today, and the director, Mr. Hollis, said, The biggest problem we have is that we don't start working with the babies when they're little. I mean, 6-year-old is good, but we need to have some things in place for children that are 2 and 3 years old, because they go in school or daycare and they've already been exposed to things in the home that have them suffering and angry, even at that young age. So as a city, I think there are some things that we can do, and one of the major things that we can do in our community is that we've got to not let these children think they don't matter by the blight in our community. We're not taking care of our streets and the buildings, and when you see that kind of degradation, then you feel that you don't matter, and we got to do better. Thank you.
Next.
Mayor, Council, Mr. Administrator, just quickly, Kip Coker, Police Chief, as y'all know. This is to the community also. We are in the early stages of planning Youth Fest 2020. This event is probably gonna be the first weekend in August. This event is gonna be a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday event, which will focus only on youth only. So I want to invite the community along with council members to join us. I will be using money from my youth fund that we raise every year and from the community also. This is not going to be a city paid event. So everything's going to be off of donations. We have our first meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and we're going to kick off what we're going to plan. So I just wanted to give you an update. Ms. Martin, you're correct, 100%. This is just a small step to try to get our youth to get involved and do things. You know, we hear a lot that youth don't have anything to do around here. This is just one weekend, and hopefully after this weekend we will have events or have things in place so youth will have something to do on a weekly basis. So, but I wanted to be very quick. But that's in the early stages right now. So I just wanted to give you an update. Thank you.
Where's the meeting?
Where's the meeting?
The meeting's for the committee, but we are meeting at the chamber tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And once we iron things out, actually, I'll invite you to be on the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay.
And then, once we get everything ironed out, so we'll get everything to y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? All right, if none, we will now move to our presentation.
We know that there's some issues with the projector. We'll get that fixed tomorrow with our IT folks. But as you all know, we've been having just a little bit of problems with sanitation, just little tiny issues with trash getting picked up. But I certainly wanted to make sure that I brought before you these young men, because literally we were able to get trucks in, and the next day we literally had them volunteer to just come in on top of their regular work and pick up trash and make sure that things kept going with the hospitals, restaurants, and things like that. So I would like to ask Troy Nelson and Kelvin Hanna to actually come up. I really think they need to get public recognition. Come up, gentlemen, don't act all shy. But they literally stepped up without much of anything, and they really helped keep things going. So if y'all would give them a round of applause. They don't come up with it like that. They didn't know. I just asked them to be here, but I just want to say thank you. Y'all represent some of the best and our employees here, and we appreciate and the thing is, it got so good to him, I was giving him addresses where they weren't getting picked up, and he was like, okay, well, I see across the street they're not, and he was just picking them up. And people don't realize, because our trash gets picked up, they don't realize the work that goes into not just residential but commercial, and everybody can't work those trucks, and they've got to have spotters, and they get out and make sure it's clean, and they've really, we were literally getting calls from the hospital that said we cannot go the weekend, and he just stepped up, and I think if we had needed him to do it on a Saturday, he would have. So I just want to say thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you, Troy, you were riding. I guess if we called y'all Batman, you would be riding. So thank you. I really appreciate y'all. Let the community so please, if you see these young men, stop hiding. If you see these young men, please give them a attaboy, because they really kept everything going and kept it from becoming just a complete life and safety hazard. So thank you again. We really appreciate you. Very shy. 020.528, second and final reading. This is essentially second reading on the ordinance to provide approval for a grant funds for the fire department from the South Carolina Municipal Insurance Trust and other matters there too.
Okay, the floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2020.528 for second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2020.528, second and final reading.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Okay. Mayor and council, this is ordinance 2020.529, second and final reading, authorizing a contractual agreement between the City of Lake City and Rise Aero for the specified term indicated and lease guidelines outlined and other matters related thereto. This is essentially an economic development opportunity at the airport, where Rise Aero is essentially going to be putting in their own resources. And again, they would have to meet all of our building codes and with any construction that would go out there, but they would also have to meet FAA, DHEC, and all other, federal and state requirements.
Okay, the floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2020.529 for second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2020.529, second and final reading.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Okay, Mayor and council, the next ordinance is 2020.530, and this is an ordinance of the City of Lake City adopting the 2018 International Building Codes covered in Part 1, Code of Ordinances for the City of Lake City, Article 2, Technical Codes, Chapter 6, Building and Building Regulations, Section 631, Adoption of Codes and Enforcement of Provisions as provided in said codes and other matters related thereto. This is essentially a state law and regulation.
Floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2020.530 for first reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2020.530, first reading.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this, you said it's statewide?
Well, the state mandates that we've had 2012 International Building Codes, 2015, and 2018. So they're usually run several years behind because it takes a long time, but the state of South Carolina mandates that if you are going to have, if you have codes, you have to actually follow this.
Okay, Florence County's doing the same thing?
Any subdivision of any state or a city, any incorporated city or county has got to follow the 2018
Okay, that's fine.
standards. Yes.
Okay, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Okay, and Finance Director Hall is going to go through the resolutions that are dealing with the awarding of bids.
The bid committee sent out 3 bids. The first one is a resolution for the city of Lake City, South Carolina, establishing approval for the acceptance of, or for the recommendation from the bid committee to award Hill South Solutions and IT Services to contract for an additional 3 years and matters that related to.
Okay, the floor is now open for a motion to approve resolution 2020.356.
Move to approve resolution 2020.356.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
The next item is the establishment for approval of the acceptance for the recommendation for the bid committee to award Fleet Corps, the provider of Fuel Man Fuel Services card, the contract for fuel services and other matters related thereto.
Okay, the floor is now open for a motion to approve resolution 2020.357 for approval.
Move to approve 2020.357. Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion?
This question is, this car to be used at any station in Lake City?
If we have a station that does not accept the card, they will step in and work with them to get them on the program.
Okay.
But it's also it's accepted in pretty much across the entire state of South Carolina. Oh, yes, this is a contract that we're gonna be piggybacking on Charlotte Mecklenburg County. They have like a $5 million gallon contract to supply the fuel. So we're piggybacking on top of this contract to get the reduced rates through this organization. They have Horry County, they deal with Florence County Sheriff's Office, and from my research, there's some substantial savings from what we're doing now.
Any other questions? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
The next item is an approval for establishing approval on the behalf of Florence County School District 3 to submit a request for bids and recommendation, oversee the project for extension of water lines and installation of a Mueller fire hydrant at J. Paul Trillette School property and other matters related to.
Floor is now open for a motion to approve resolution 2020.358 for approval.
Move to approve resolution 2020.358.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
We are essentially asking that we go into executive session so that we can discuss contractual matters.
Floor is now open for a motion to go into executive session pursuant to South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-4-70A23. Executive session will be held for the discussion of a contractual negotiation or the sale of property and matters covered under attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Properly moved in second. All those in favor by show of hands.